Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Men You Love to podcast. I am Kat, and today I am sitting here again with Jesse Fraser for a second interview. We recorded a podcast a while ago about his work with blended families and being a coach to fathers that are in blended families. And Jesse is a core vitality alignment coach, a restorative non-surgical practitioner, a health and safety consultant, and a visionary for Valiant Wellness, which is his company, right?
Yes,
Yes. Welcome,
correct.
Jessica, again. Thank you so much for making time for me. I
Thank you.
absolutely loved our previous conversation. You bring so much to the table. You have so much wisdom, so much lived experience, and I just really support and admire the work that you're doing with men and the masculine.
Thank you, Kat. It felt like there was so much more to be said, and I'm so happy that you invited me back for another one because
Yeah.
it was meant to be.
Because you have so much to share, and this better not be it. Like, it
No,
better be like a
there's
number three and
lots.
four, and we're gonna come up with more topics. But I hope this isn't it. Um,
Mm,
so we had a discovery call where we kind of chatted to see if we were on the same page, and and we were absolutely on the same page. I mean, I was so excited about some of the things he was saying. I could hardly wait for him to finish and be like, me too, me too. It was just so amazing. And one of the things that you said that really, really stuck with me that I wanted to do a whole podcast about is on your journey, which I want you to talk about. You mentioned you had to become a sovereign island, an island. And that
Yes.
is just one of the most amazing and beautiful things I've ever heard. And I just want to know how you figured out you had to do that, what it took, and what that journey was for you.
Wow. That is truly unique because I've not had anyone really inquire about that in that way. So thank you. When I say I became my own sovereign island, it's me feeling like I was on my own and really had to figure it out. And if it wasn't for my daughter, I don't know that it would be truly the same. And I don't know that the outcome would have been truly the same. But what I mean by when I became my own sovereign island is after my first marriage, when I decided to leave my marriage and really become a better man, I really didn't know how to become a better man. But I knew, like everyone else, that I really needed my parents. And I live in Calgary, Canada. So 5,500 kilometers, so roughly 3,300 miles, I moved back to the East Coast against all odds. My wife discouraged it, excuse me, my ex-wife discouraged it. My lawyer said, I don't know how the hell you're going to do this. And I've not seen anyone do this before. And it doesn't work out really well for the father if there's custody to be had. And my parents were absolutely, they were not in my corner. They, I realized the rift in their own relationship just by this gesture alone. And I did it. I moved to the East Coast, but I really had to redefine who I was as a man. Because up until that point, I had been full of infidelity. I had really been full of a lot of these dopamine hits where it was I needed to buy a lot of things that I had in luxury to make myself feel better, and it wasn't working. I had a great home, a mortgage, a truck, a nice masculine truck, F-150. Um, I had a car. I had a yard that I landscaped with pride, and I did it over and over. I call it yardening, your garden yardening, and really that was just my my way to be. But I knew for myself I needed to get out of what I was really what I was really in a funk about, and I really didn't know who I was or what I was, and I felt like, and if I look back at all my research and what I've learned about men and myself, I was a non-initiated man. I was an uninitiated man, and part of that we can get into a whole new podcast about. But I moved back east, and I didn't feel like I had my parents on my side, and I really had to create some boundaries around what that was. And in a time where I really needed my parents, they weren't there. In a time that I really needed good friends around me, I had all but I think two. But I was able to find a person, a partner that had a lot of common ground that I did. And that was the beginning of that blended family and relationship. But it meant that I had to become a traveling dad too, because um, I was a father leaving the very city of which my ex-wife and my daughter lived. So I had to commute. I commuted every month for 18 months, 10 days at a time. So I would fly out, pick my daughter up, and fly back to Halifax, spend 10 days with her, fly out, fly back again. I did that every month. My bank account looked ridiculous. My credit cards were maxed. My life was coming together. It was a show. It was truly a show. I felt I I really hit rock bottom in the relationship at that time with my partner at that time. We uh it was more about really creating my identity in my role. And I really didn't know what role I played in this relationship, this new relationship that I was in, because I had a really corrupted and dysmorphic one of the one that I left. And but I had some really good moments with my parents. They weren't terrible. They really taught me to in moments to struggle. They taught me some really good values. I'm just talking about the critical moments. But my lawyer at the time almost dumped me as well because he said, I don't really feel like I'm going to be able to help you out, even though this is a family issue. I'm a family lawyer, but I don't know that I'm going to be able to help you out with this because we can't agree on certain things. But I was able to talk to him and tell him that I was an intelligent person and I was working through what I was doing. What it did for me though, Kat, was it formed a whole new level of resiliency because I knew that there was so many statistics. I was against all odds. And there was so many people that didn't think that I was going to make it, not even as a dad, but as a man. Um, Arguing with my ex-wife, it was crazy. It was crazy. But my daughter, I saw so much love from my daughter that I really needed to succeed for her because I didn't want my legacy to be one of a deadbeat dad. I didn't want it to be where I was full of all of these health conditions that started up here, that ended up manifesting in my body. I wanted her to see a healthy father. I wanted to be able to engage with her. I didn't want to waste this. I needed to get my poop in a group. And I just became my own sovereign island. I started learning more and more about my health. I had a great um, upbringing when it came to my health. My parents were I came from a family of healers too. My mom and dad, they came across this MLM when we were kids, and we had lots of vitamins. We'd go to the grocery store at the time that was um, you would grind your own peanuts for peanut butter and raw peanuts, and we made our own bread. It was a really nice whole wheat brown bread, and if you dropped it on the floor, it would create a huge thud. No one wanted to trade our sandwiches at school. It was that healthy, and I mean, we didn't get chocolate bars or fruit roll-ups or any of those things. I mean, my brother and I certainly traded for those,
Of course you
but
did.
we tried to. We couldn't. But we had these things called Vita bars, and they were we got used to them. They weren't terrible, but they weren't great. But I realized that that part of my childhood I had a great understanding of healthy food and what to buy. So I was a vegetarian at the time, and what it did for me was it was a whole other way of getting to know my palate and my body. It wasn't a long-term plan, but it was something that I used to recalibrate my own self and my gut health and everything else. And so I got better. I started working out, and I really started working on me at the same time that I was working on this other relationship that I was in. But there was something in me that changed, and it was really a huge gift. And my partner at the time, I remember sitting with her father, and I remember seeing, and this was the biggest gift I've ever received from them, and it was the catalyst that changed it. The absence of her father over a 2 year period was so impactful on my partner, her life at that time when she needed her dad in her teens. And he wasn't always available because he was having issues with her mom. But I remember seeing just how hard she worked for his attention in those moments when we visited them. And I went, this is a glimpse of what it would be like for my daughter and I. I thanked God. I'm so thankful to be able to have seen that. It changed me in a way where I said, I don't want that for my father or my daughter. I don't want that for her. I want her to have this wonderful relationship with her father, and then to be able to have somebody to worship, to look up to be able to tell stories. This is my dad did. This is my dad does. And it was so valuable that a couple of weeks later, I really sat with it and I said, look, I've got to move back. I was able to fortify my own island, create space for myself to heal myself enough to know where my moral compass needed to go. And over the 18 months, Kat, of finding myself, getting my gut right and getting my constitution right, um, I started to really reforge my identity and who I was, and my role on who I was as a father to my daughter, and the importance of being closer and having her more often than 10 days a month. And I moved back to Calgary, and I had it just became this resilient man. I moved into my own apartment suite, and my dad drove out with me. We drove through Ontario, Quebec, and all through the provinces. And I remember that trip because my daughter, she was so happy. Well, we had the family dog too. So I had taken my wife and I, my ex-wife and I, our border collie. I had her come back with me. And my daughter was so happy to see her doggie. She was so happy to see her papa. And she was, I don't think she realized how much how much she missed me until we started to really forge these bonds. And I remember on the last plane ride back, Kat, when my dad and I moved the car and my things out, I had to fly back and get my dog and move back out again. And I didn't end the relationship at that time with my partner at that time, but I said, look, I don't know how we're going to make this work, but I do know that this is what I need and what my daughter needs. And on the plane ride back, I I bawled. I broke out into this. I just I lost it. And something in me said, just give yourself a pat in the back because no one else is going to do that for you. You did something. I gave myself the gift of knowing that I did it. Like I said, I did it. 18 solid months, 10 days every month, I maintained a relationship with my daughter. I got in touch with my lawyer. My lawyer said, against all odds, I've never seen anybody do it like you've done it. I have a beautiful relationship with my daughter. I have a better relationship with her mommy. And it's respected, it's reciprocated in our friends. And the relationship that I left back there, it's also respected. And there's also from time to time some communication. But it was really discovering the inner man that I always wanted and somehow knew was there. And the island part is the island part for me is knowing that no one was going to help me through my own struggles. They would support me, but I had to do the hard work. I had to figure out what my island consisted of. Was I right? Was I right up here? Some places I wasn't. Was I able to, was I capable of being a father? Was I capable of being a man? My daughter helped me discover that I was a man, that I was a good man, that I was a good father. I built those things in tandem. I rebuilt the man that I was and the father I was in tandem with her because I had her to leverage. She was my North Star. That I was able to hold myself accountable, knowing that she needed a dad and that I was actively choosing every day whether or not I was going to show up. I could create absolute crisis for her, or I could create absolute paradise for her. I was that clear on who I was, and I would make that choice every day. And I do make that choice every day for her and my bonus daughter and my wife. And now it's for many other people too. I've got clients, I've got people like yourself, coaches that I talked to a lady the other day. She said, I'm so happy to see you and your wife doing this because it gives me hope. And I realized that this is even bigger. Our relationship is even bigger than us. There's so many other things that are actively at play. I'm so happy that I was able to become my own island to show myself the leverage and support, show myself gratitude, um, show myself how to be a man and be able to just take those pieces and say, some of that you need, much of it you don't. Move forward. And I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's, I knew that it would be an amazing story. I'm trying not to cry, but I didn't know just how amazing it was going to be. And so truly inspiring. And I had so many thoughts going through my head as you were telling me. Number one, your daughter being so lucky that you were so committed that you were flying out every month for 10 days and doing that to yourself. Just
Yeah.
the energy, the finances, the commitment, the fact that even your lawyer told you that you were insane and you didn't let anything stop you. And I don't know when, but there's going to be a day that she is going to be old enough and see enough things in her life to know just how truly fucking amazing that was. I think
Thank you.
there'll be a day.
Thank you.
Yeah. Um, and your parents, I mean, they raised you to know that food is medicine, and how beautiful is that? Like, what a gift. I think that has so much impact in who you ended up becoming and what you're
Yeah.
doing with your life. I think that helped shape you so much. And And I think that through our hardest times, I know I talk about the dark night of the soul in episode 5 with my friend Jake, but that's usually how the shit goes down. It's like
Yeah,
we end up being alone, isolated with all the people that we have in our lives, and all of a sudden they're gone.
yeah.
And it's because we have to be forced to become the person that we're meant to be. And I'm so honored that you shared that story with us and just so proud of you and so happy to see how proud of yourself you were and you still are and knowing how much you accomplished.
Thank you. You know, what's really quite cool about what you just said is remembering and recalling that this is something that I gave to myself and that no one else can take away from me. And it's knowing that I am a good father and no one could say otherwise because I like it's a part of my very being to know that I am. Like I've done more work, I think, than a lot of traveling parents do in that. And I'm not erasing or minimizing what they do. I'm just saying that I did it very differently. And I remember flying home at one point to Nova Scotia to tell my mom and my dad that things were over with my ex-wife. And I remember having to hold my mom. And I went, whose crisis is this? Why am I holding you? Why aren't you holding me? And it was just so confusing. But I remember the first thing my dad said to me, he was really upset. He said, "What do you need, son?" And I think that was a really touching moment for me. And I mean, we had our blasts as well, but that was that was a moment that I knew that there was a part of my dad that I could count on. That did help me. And then a lot of the work that I've done as far as working on polarities and working on who I am as a man and how I show up has been through the work of Jake Woodard and Melissa, and he's created a whole level of um, getting to know what the masculine man, what a true masculine man can create in a relationship. And I remember being on several job sites, and one of them in Saskatchewan. I had a lot of windshield time commuting from Alberta to Saskatchewan, and it was right around that time that when I moved back and you know got back into a job out here that I needed something, and he was like a buddy, but a buddy over the radio. I didn't know him personally, but a mentor of such, and but that was it was also reminiscent of just I could see a lot of the things and healing some of the very the very troubling moments within my being of what my dad might have passed through. So now I'm at a point where I can see those things in my dad of what he needs to be able to pick him up and support him. And that's a whole other level of love for not only myself, but for other men, because he's truly a good man. True, my mom is truly a good woman as well. Um, but it's really, I, I believe that we don't have a problem with guns. We have a problem with dads. We have an issue really being dads, but having that support and having other men support us in that way. And I'm very thankful to have had a dad in the ways that I've needed, and also thankful now that there were moments where I needed him and he wasn't there, but he was still able to show me something within his absence, which I also believe is a beautiful, beautiful healing.
I'm so happy that you just said that because when you said that your mom couldn't even hold you, you had to hold her, my first thought was it's because it was time for you to hold yourself. And
Yeah,
so even in a time that they were both absent in that moment for you when it came to support, it was because you needed to do this on your own. And you
yep,
needed to become an island and you needed to go through this journey so that guess what? At the end of this, you can be the man that you are today. You can be proud of yourself. And what you're doing is just amazing because you get to share this with other men and inspire them.
yeah,
So turning around and you're helping the next person that's in line.
yeah.
And I love that. And that makes you an extraordinary human being, Jesse.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm truly in this for humanity. And there's two words that exist in the word human and humanity. One is man, and the other is you.
Yeah.
And we're all collectively a part of that. And I want to be that part that continues to contribute to that part of humanity.
Well, I hope that you know that you already are.
Thank you.
And you
Thank you.
you don't
Yes,
have to do anything more, which I know you will, but you already are that man. So I think you should be very proud of yourself. And your
thank
family
you.
is very lucky to have you.
That's really nice. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Kat. And um, I really believe that there are so many men out there that are going through similar struggles because there was a book that I purchased. I think it was called 101 Ways to Love Your Child at a Distance. And there's military moms and dads that do these missions and they're away from their children and the the complex relationships that they have, that they go through similar things. There were pilots and flight attendants that have families as well, and they have all these issues that come up as well. So I really feel like there's there's so much in this that is of I can touch on a number of uh, of of, of these levels and these experiences with these people because I've lived through a similar one myself.
And that's what makes you different from people that have read information in a book and have knowledge that's just cognitive and not lived experience. And I think that's what makes you great at what you do and what you teach and the work that you do with men and with families. Um, can you just tell us how to find you on socials and how to contact you if someone wants to work with you?
Yes, if someone wants to work with me, you can get a hold of me through info@thevaliantlifestyle.com. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram as Valiant Wellness, all one word. And I also have a YouTube channel that you can visit as well, The Valiant Lifestyle, where I talk about this and valiant men and blended families. There's many different ways to get a hold of me, and I'm on LinkedIn as well.
Yes, you are. And I'll be posting all those links in the comments for the episodes on all my socials and all the platforms where the episode is. I want to thank you again for your time. It is such a blessing for me to be able to have conversations with you that are always so uplifting and so empowering and just so transformational. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kat, and thank you for providing me a space today to be able to unbox that because I truly realized that I needed to do that too.
Yeah, I'm so happy that I watched you do that in real time. Thank you.
Mm,
Take
wonderful.
care.
Thank you. Bye now.